All right, everybody, we're going to start the training part of our call, Senior Solutions Agent Training. This is going to be part one, and typically if you're doing a training and you're stating that it's part one, that means there's probably going to be a part two or part three. This is definitely minimum going to be a two-part series. We're doing part one today. Going to give you a lot of tools and things that you need to be better at getting referrals and give you some techniques on things that I do and Jimmy does to be able to get referrals. And then next week, tune back in, we're going to cover how to actually work those referrals. So today's going to be more about techniques on how to get them. And then, like I said, next week we're going to talk about how to actually go out and work them. What do you say when you call the referral? That sort of thing. Also, maybe you're watching this on YouTube as a replay. Do me a favor, just hit subscribe and subscribe so you can get, and then hit do the notification so you can get the other videos as we put them out. And if you're already an agent with us, great. Do me a favor. I'll send this recording out to everyone who's registered. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, just go ahead and subscribe to it. That way it's easy to log in and you can go back and you can rewatch all your favorite training videos. We've talked about the sales funnel a lot, guys. What is the sales funnel? The sales funnel is the natural progression between leads and income. Obviously, we've got leads, we've got appointments, we've got presentations, which leads to applications, which leads to income. Let me just see here. Okay. Jimmy, I just muted you there just for a second, but you're getting a lot of background noise there. But sales funnels. Sales funnels is the leads which go into appointments, presentations, applications. Guys, referrals are leads. You've got to work referrals the same way you would as if you paid for a lead. I think sometimes, and I've been guilty of this too, is where I've got a lead, like I've gotten a referral, and I just didn't do anything with it. I blew it, you know. So just make sure if you're taking the time to get referrals, make sure that you're working them, man, because it can really, really drastically add to your bottom line. And just a real quick recap from last week. Last week I believe it was last week, we were talking about getting organized, and I had this slide up as the I call this the money maker. This is the daily activity tracker. Guys, if you took away anything from the call before, I'm just telling you, if you just incorporate one thing, implement one thing this week, implement the daily activity tracker into your business, and I promise you, it will change your business. It will change your life. Just tracking your numbers. It is so powerful. And one of the things that you should be tracking are referrals. Let me just get a highlighter here real quick. Let's see here. Do yellow. No. Let's do red. And then the highlighter. No, I didn't do that. Sorry, guys. Let me get back to that screen. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Right here on your daily activity tracker, one of the things that you should be tracking is referrals. So you can see on this week, we got I collected 23 referrals for the week, which is, to be honest with you, which is not really a great job. I did 15 presentations, 15 sets, got 23 referrals. Man, I know if I would have, done a better job, I probably could have gotten 40 or 50 referrals on 15 sits on 10 applications. I should have been able to get at least 4 or 5 referrals per application. So, but the point is, if you're not tracking the numbers, you don't know. So when you say to yourself, like, I mean, how many referrals did I get for the week? How many referrals did I get for the month? How many referrals did I get for the quarter? If you're not tracking it, you have just no way of knowing how good of a job that you're doing. That's why it's just so important. Now, one of the techniques as far as getting referrals, and none of you guys have probably have seen this before, it's the emergency response system. It's the ERS, okay, is what we refer to it as. First thing we need to know is what you need to understand is what is the ERS, the emergency response system. The ERS is implemented to benefit your clients, and it's a document of it's a network of friends and family of your clients that are willing to call you the agent in the event of a tragedy, whether it be death or they're critically injuredly or terminally ill or have to go into a nursing home. Okay, that's the importance of collecting the ERS system. Okay, when we're working with our clients, and I just give you a little bit of the script. And this is also in the magic formula. We've got a section there on referrals and how to work referrals and that sort of thing. But when you are presenting or when you're doing the emergency response system, you should either do it while you're taking the application, implement this when you are getting the beneficiaries, when you're writing that on the application, or you can wait till the end of the application. I think either time is okay. And I'm just going to kind of give you some word tracks on what I say when I'm doing an application and I'm doing the emergency response system. So we're going through the application, and let's say we just put down the beneficiaries, and the husband or the wife says, yeah, want to name my children as the beneficiaries, and or whoever that's going to be. What I'm going to come back and say is, well, Mr. and Mrs. Client, and I know you want to name your daughter as your beneficiary. I think that's great. I said, as your agent, it's my job to make sure is that when something happens to you, when your time comes, upon your passing, or if you get diagnosed with a terminal illness, or you have to be permanently confined to a nursing home, it's my job as your agent to make sure that these benefits are paid out on time. But unfortunately, sometimes the benefits don't get paid out on time. In fact, literally, there are hundreds of millions, there's actually billions of dollars of life insurance money that does not get paid out in a timely fashion, and sometimes it doesn't get paid out at all. And Mr. and Mrs. Client, it's not because the insurance company doesn't want to pay the claim, they don't want to pay their bills. It's because something has happened to the insured, but no one never notified the insurance company. In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I came across this article from USA Today, and that's why it would be a good idea if you could get if you want it, I can send it to you. But if you have a copy of this USA Today article, let me just click up here and see if I can highlight this to you. I'll just read a little bit of it. And what you want to do is you just want to read a little bit of this to your client. It says, and just read this, it says, life insurance is supposed to provide peace of mind, but for some policyholders, it becomes out of sight, out of mind. Policies are stuck in drawers, forgotten. Family members may not know they're listed as beneficiary on a policy. As a result, billions of dollars of life insurance have gone unclaimed. This is where I'm reading it. And then you can continue on. You don't have to read the whole article, but just highlight a little bit of it. Nationwide, The amount owed is huge, 7.4 billion so far. That's what a major life insurance companies have agreed to pay in unclaimed benefits according to Florida Office of Insurance Regulation. Of that, 5 billion will go directly to the beneficiaries they find. 2.4 billion will go to the states whose unclaimed property departments will work searching for the paying beneficiaries, Florida insurance regulators say. And then this was aired on 60 Minutes. So how you want to propose that to your client is that after you read this little statement from USA Today, like it's legitimate that life insurance claims are not getting paid or they're getting severely delayed, as part of your duty as the agent is just say, and Mr. and Mrs. Client, I care about you. I care about your family. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. And what our company has done is we've implemented what we call is the emergency response system. And basically what that is, Mr. and Mrs. Client, it's just a network of people that know and care about you, that they have my information and they can simply contact me if tragedy were to strike. Mr. and Mrs. Client, who's the first person that you'd want to put on your emergency contact list? And you'll start filling this out. Now, this particular paper only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has a place for 5 people. I recommend getting 10. Okay. If you have to, use 2 of these or flip it over, write it on the back. And I'll tell my clients, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I recommend that you put at least 7 to 10 people on the emergency response system. And here's the reason why, is obviously some of these people I'm probably not going to be able to get a hold of. Some of the people on your list may actually pass away or move before you do. What we have found is that if we have a list of at least 7 to 10 people, on average, at least 2 people will still be around, still be living when you pass away or become tragically or chronically sick, and will actually do the right thing and give me a call. So, Mr. and Mrs. Client, who's the first person that you'd like to put on the emergency response system? And guys, you just start putting the name. They give you a name. You kind of just keep your head down. Okay. So you want to list your daughter, who's also going to be your beneficiary. Okay, that's great. Mr. and Mrs. Client, it's also great. Let's also put some people on here that are maybe not family members, but are also local as well. What about some neighbors, people you go to church with, your good friends, that sort of thing. Relatives could be nieces, nephews, grandchildren, siblings, and you want to build that list. In addition to doing that, and this is a good time to do it, you do the ERS, and then you want to explain to your clients, Mr. and Mrs. Client, all I'm going to do is I'm simply going to reach out to the folks that on your list, let them know I'm your agent. I'm not going to give them any details about your policy. I'm just going to let them know that you listed them on the emergency response system. And if something were to happen to you, if you were, severely injured, if you had to go to a nursing home, or you come down with a terminal illness, that if they would just give me a call so I can get the paperwork started, or I can do what I need so I can get those benefits paid out as soon as possible. So guys, this is how you explain the emergency response system to your clients, and it's all part of adding value. And I just tell you, if you do it the way I'm telling you to do it, and if you're doing it in knowing in your heart of hearts, the reason why you're doing this is to provide a service and to provide a value to your clients, it's going to come through. Like, they're going to be able to really identify and be able to see that, hey, man, Joe's Joe's like really sincere. Joe's like, this is so awesome. He's such a professional. I've never even heard of this before. It's all about adding, at the end of the day, it's all about adding value. And then in addition to that, we want to do the beneficiary certificate as well. Now, Jimmy, if you're available, sorry, I had to mute you out. I had a lot of background noise. Let me see if I can get you back on here. Click there, but Jimmy, are you
Hello,
available?
Joe. Yes.
Yeah, I might have. Okay, are you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, I was toggling back and forth. I might have had your dad unmuted as well. That might have been where the background noise was coming from.
Okay.
But on the screen, do you see I've got the screen on the left? It's the beneficiary certificate.
Certificate. Yep.
Okay. Could you, I mean, I think this is an absolutely brilliant form that you came up with. Can you talk a little bit about the purpose of the beneficiary certificate and like how you implement that and how you use that?
Yes. So the beneficiary certificate, as Joe was just mentioning about, many times people policies don't pay out because no one called to inform the insurance company of the claim. So going off of that, when I'm talking to my clients, if the beneficiary um, is an adult, right, not a child, then what I do is I let them know that I'm gonna create a beneficiary certificate. Well, I don't use the word create, but I let them know that we use beneficiary certificates at Senior Solutions, and we're gonna have one made for your beneficiary or beneficiaries. And I just simply explain to the client that on the certificate, it's going to have the insurance company's name, the policy number, the benefit amount. Obviously, your name is the insured. The beneficiary is on there listed as the beneficiary, the contact information to file a claim, and my contact information as the agent. And then there's a segment on the bottom that just a really quick sentence that explains that they're doing it on their behalf, and the client signs it, right? So this is done on a Word document, and then when I print it out, I go to a printer. I don't just do this at home, but I go to a printer at Office Depot, and I have them printed on what they call magazine paper, which it's real glossy and it's thicker than regular paper. So it looks really nice and it looks very official and very professional. And I have it printed in color. And so I let the customer know that I'm going to come back out and I'm going to deliver the beneficiary certificate to those, beneficiaries, and we're going to schedule an appointment, and I need to have those beneficiaries present. So obviously, if they live in town, that's what's going to happen. So then, when I make that call, the client will let their, children know, or whoever the beneficiary know, to be there. We schedule the appointment. I go back out and I deliver the certificate. The client signs it. And I present it to them. And obviously, this is a great opportunity to talk about coverage on those beneficiaries. In the event that their beneficiary lives out of town or out of state, then we set that up with a phone call, and then I call the beneficiary, mail them the certificate, and we talk about it over the phone. So this is a really good tool to not only, I guess you can say, build value with the client, but also get those referrals. I got to tell you, when you do the beneficiary certificate and you deliver it, like, those policies also have a lot of stickability. You have a higher percent that's going to stay on the books, because the beneficiary is engaged. If mom or dad has any payment issues, again, they're going to want to keep that policy in force. Just as a side note, I've had when I've gone out where the beneficiary says, "Oh, well, how much are you getting? Oh, you're getting 10,000. You're getting 5. You're getting 15." And then they ask me, "Well, can I get another, 10 on my mom, and I'll pay for it?" Like all kinds of sales come out of delivering this certificate. So you just got to do it.
The other thing too, Jimmy, I would add, guys, have a in your portfolio, have a sample of the beneficiary certificate so they
Hmm.
can see it. You know what? Have a sample, or it could even be a real one with a client's name or whatever. But just have it so you have that piece of paper. Man, this is huge. Now, Jimmy, so ideally, what you try to do is, if everyone's local, is you once the policy's issued, you try to get back with your client for a second meeting with the beneficiary certificate, with if I'm understanding you, with the beneficiaries present at the house. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then would you also try to get, if the contingent beneficiary is available, get both the
Yeah.
primary,
All,
or if
all
there's
beneficiaries that are listed.
all beneficiaries, man. That's that's huge. And from there, guys, you're going to pick up extra sales. You're going to get more referrals. What a great time! What a great time is that? Let's say you didn't do such a great job in in the beginning of getting referrals. Now you're back. Now you've got an opportunity to make sales not only from your client. Maybe they will pick up an extra 5 or 10,000. You've got an opportunity to present and book an appointment to the beneficiaries, but also what a great time to ask for additional referrals. So not only can you ask referrals from your client, you can also ask for referrals from the beneficiaries that are there as well. It's really just it's just a powerful tool, and I'm just telling you, man, you can honestly revolutionize your business and become so much more profitable if you just do some some small little stuff, and get these referrals, man. They're free leads.
Hey, Joe, and,
um,
and you know what the key is? It's consistency, right? You got to do
yeah.
it like consistently with all the policies you place, not just
Yep.
here and there,
Yep.
or not just randomly or whenever you feel like it, or maybe you had a special report with this client, you're going to do it this one. You got to consistently do it with all clients. I've showed this to new agents, and in many cases, I get a lot of like immediate reports at how successful it was, how they written additional policies like right there on the spot. But then they don't stick with it, so it's got to be consistent. I can tell you that, like, let's say I had a client not too long ago. She was in her early 50s, and her kids were in their late 20s. She had 3 of them. When I delivered the certificate, uh, they asked about a quote. Because they were so young, I quoted them the Term Life Express with the ROP on it.
Yeah.
And then I explained how, at the end of the 20 years with the return of premium, instead of taking the cash, take the paid up policy. And because of their youth and the 20-year, the paid up policy was actually a higher face amount than the term face amount. So like it was a
Wow.
total no brainer, right? I wrote all
Yeah.
3 of them up right there on the spot. Like, I mean, there's numerous stories like this, but you just have to do it consistently. And sometimes you do it and you get nothing from it, but if you do it consistently, the numbers will fall in place.
Yeah, I agree with the consistency. At the end of the day, you don't get to pick and choose who you do it with. If you want it to work, you got to do it 100% of the time. Then the numbers are going to play out. You never, you never know who, what client is going to be your best source of referrals, and you don't know who is. Sometimes it can be a domino effect. Like you get a referral from a referral from a referral, and then next thing you're writing a $500,000 annuity. Like you just don't know. So very, very important to get, obviously be able to get those referrals. Let's see, we do have a question. See, I'm gonna, Jimmy, can you take a question?
Sure.
I'm gonna unmute Joe Perry. If you're available, I'm gonna click to unmute you so you can ask your question. Hey, Joe, you're live if you can hear me. If you're available. Your microphone is green. Joe Perry from Florida. All right. I'll go ahead and unmute you or mute you back. Sorry, buddy. Let me see if I can expand and see what his question was. I'm on my desktop. You can talk right through the speaker on your desktop. Well, maybe not. I guess desktops don't have speakers, right?
So, well, some don't have microphones.
Yeah, microphones. Okay, that you can't. Okay. All right. Joe, you can type your question in. Oh, okay. Here, I see it. Okay, I got it. Well, here's one. Joe says he sold a policy, a Florida I think that's you're saying FL, Florida policy, and he told his kids, and the kids told him to cancel. Let me see if I can scroll down to see the rest of this. I'm having trouble scrolling here, Joe. I can't see the rest of the question. Give me 1 second. See if I can expand this somehow. Sorry about that, guys. Joe, for some reason I'm having trouble reading, but I think I get the gist of it, that you sold a policy, your client told his kids, and then the kids told him to cancel the policy, but I can't see the rest of it. Jimmy, how is there a particular way that you would handle that? I mean, I've had that happen myself before as well, but how would you handle
I think,
that?
well, the biggest thing is why did they tell them to cancel? Sometimes sometimes the kids think, oh, that cost is like crazy ridiculous. Oh, I can get you better coverage, cheaper. And really at that point, it's just a matter of education. I mean, if you think about it, if the person's, let's say, in their 60s and their children's are in their 40s, right? They're not what's the word I'm looking for? They don't know, they haven't been exposed to the challenges of somebody in their 60s getting life insurance due to health, also whole life versus term life. So a lot of it has to do with education. And so what I recommend to do is try to set the appointment with the person that's telling them no, to find out what the reason is, and then just educate them. I've been in that situation where I say, well, it's different for seniors because they have different health issues. And also when you're young, you don't, you're okay with the term because you can get high amounts of coverage at a low cost, right? But when you're a senior, does it make sense to get a 10-year term when you're 60? Because most likely you're going to outlive it, right? So you go back to the Social Security chart. So really, it's like doing a whole nother presentation. You just have to do it with the children. So sometimes you have to do 2 presentations. I've done that many times, educate them. I've told children, like, you're telling your mom no, or you're telling your dad no, but you haven't done the research. So who's your insurance agent now? Allstate, State Farm, usually it's, some sort of property and casualty company. Why don't you go ahead and give them a call and get a quote, and also make sure that they understand that, your parents have these sort of medical conditions, if any, and let's talk tomorrow. So make it a really quick time frame. I'm going to follow up with you tomorrow. And then they realize, oh yeah, it's not like what I thought, and then you save the cell. Sometimes they say it's because, oh, I have money and I'll take care of it. And if that's the case, well, why don't we just do a paid up policy? You can do a paid in full death benefit. So you switch carriers, maybe go with somebody like Forrester's where you can do a 1 pay or do a 10 pay or something like that. So then you show them the benefit of, why don't you go ahead and write us a check for maybe 8,000, and this is going to give you an $11,000 death benefit. So, I mean, it just depends on what the scenario
Tax
is.
free too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, guys, there could be different situations. And the other thing too is what I've done is where I've had clients do that to me too. They've called back, oh, I want to cancel. My kid said, don't worry about it. They're going to cover. I said, that's fine. I said, leave the money to somebody else. Who's your, you can afford it. This is a tax-free benefit. I said, leave it to your grandkids. Oh, I never thought about that. That's a great idea. Okay, yeah, I'll keep it. You know what I mean? So, um, sometimes when you get the kids involved, you just gotta, like Jimmy said, man, you've gotta, have a conversation, resell on value. Sometimes you do need to talk to the children. Sometimes they're delusional. They're 30 years old, and they can get 100,000 for $50 or whatever it is, and they think 10,000 for $70 is outrageous, but parents are had a heart attack 5 years ago, they're diabetic, COPD, whatever the case is. One thing for sure is that you won't lose a deal by them shopping around. Okay, the carriers that we use are extremely competitive. Okay, sometimes you will have to switch products, and I mean, if you've got a client who is 65 years old, is like in perfect health, and you need a more competitive, maybe we do need to switch it to a more competitive product um, like Mutual of Omaha, the Guaranteed Universal Life, or maybe a different whole life, or the Forrester's Whole Life Advantage, or a different product where maybe they can get more coverage. You just have to look at each unique situation. But Jimmy, you did a great job on the beneficiary certificate. Kind of got sidetracked there a little bit with that question. Let's go into the next way of also collecting referrals, and that's just doing the client initial satisfaction survey. Guys, you should have this with you when you're making your sales. I'm just going to highlight this so it's a little bit easier to see. Let's see here. Here are the questions. Okay, so when you're doing your, and this is something that you want to do at the end. So we finish up the sales. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Client, before I leave, hey, my company requires me just to do an initial satisfaction survey, just to make sure I'm doing my job properly and I didn't miss anything. And then you just read the questions. My advisor was courteous and very friendly. Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you disagree, somewhat agree, or strongly agree? Oh, Joe, you were awesome. I strongly agree. My advisor was knowledgeable and very professional. Mr. and Mrs. Client, would you disagree, somewhat agree, or strongly agree? Of course, I would agree. My advisor explained thoroughly my rights and options. Disagree, somewhat agree, strongly agree. Joe, again, you did a great job. I would strongly agree. Fantastic. How satisfied are you with the explanations of the features and benefits of your insurance program? Not satisfied, somewhat satisfied, very satisfied. Are there, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, are there any questions that you have that I haven't answered? No, you explained everything great. I'm very satisfied. Mr. and Mrs. Client, I feel the life insurance program I'm applying for fits my needs and budget. Folks, it's important to make sure that this fits your budget. Life insurance is about relieving a financial burden, not creating a financial burden. Would you agree that this fits your budget? Some disagree, somewhat agree, Strongly agree. No, Joe, this is very affordable. I can handle that, not a problem. Great. Last question. Based on your overall experience today, how likely would you to be to recommend your senior advisor to a friend or family? Would not recommend, maybe recommend, definitely recommend. Oh, Joe, I would definitely recommend you. Oh, well, fantastic. Who's the first person that comes to mind? So by using this initial satisfaction survey, if you're struggling, you know, maybe you didn't do a good job with the ERS, go back and use this. And if they say they would definitely recommend, then they can't really go back and say, well, you're at least going to get a couple of names out of it if you use this. And then here you're just going to put in the names and phone numbers. But work a little bit of everything. If one thing's not working, use the initial survey. But I use this on every client, not just to get referrals, but also I want to test the waters right here just to make sure that what we're applying for, make sure they don't have any questions, and make sure that it fits their budget as well. All right, moving on. Jimmy, any extras or anything you want to say about the survey?
As a I guess added bonus, what's kind of cool is when you're asking all those questions, they kind of rush you through it. Oh yeah, yeah. They always, go with the, very satisfied option. And what it does is it kind of solidifies in their mind that they made a good decision because they're hearing themselves say it, right? And then when you ask for, great, who comes to mind? You'll probably get one or two or three. Um, Sometimes, just as an added tip, if they can't think of anybody off the top of their head, if you did a really good job in the beginning, getting to know your client and warming up to them, and you found out a little bit about them, then you can isolate or narrow their focus. So, for example, if you find out that they're, active church members, then you can say, hey, well, who in your church group do you know that this would be really good for? So now you're getting them. Oh yeah, yeah, sister so and so, or maybe they're in a gardening club. Oh, when your gardening club, who do you know there that this might be good, good for? So you're able to use this to narrow the focus too, to ask for some referrals.
Awesome, awesome, great tip. The I am your policy. This should be in your two-pocket folder, in your pre-sale folder. Now, I do the I am your policy at the end of the sale, and I read this to my clients. But again, this is another good way of being able to get a referral. How do you use it to your benefit? Well, I'm going to read this to you, and if you're not using the I am your policy, go ahead and implement it and put it in there. It takes you 90 seconds to read it, and what it does is it gets your clients a little bit emotional, and sometimes I've even had clients like break down in tears.
Right. Yeah.
Like I started crying, like I get choked up, and because I'm looking at my clients and like I'm getting emotional now, but their eyes are watering, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, and this is when like you're really impacting. But how you do the I am your policy, what I explained to the clients, I said, Mr. and Mrs. Clients, just allow me just one last thing. I'm just going to read you something. It's something that one of our agents wrote, and I think it's very impactful. And it's called I am your policy. And what it is if you can imagine your life insurance policy was alive and could actually talk to you. And this is what it would say to you. It says, you and I have similar purposes in this world. It's your job to provide food, clothing, shelter, medicine, sundry, and other essential items for your loved ones. You do this while I lie in your desk drawer. I have faith and trust in you. Out of your earnings will come the cost of my upkeep. At times, I may appear to be worthless to you, but someday, and who knows when, you and I will change places. When you are laid to rest, I will come alive and I will do your job. I will provide the funds necessary for your final resting place and guarantee your loved ones will not be burdened. I can also provide food, clothing, shelter, medicine, and other essential items your family will continue to need just as you are doing now. When your work is done and your afterlife begins, my work will begin. Through me, your hands will carry on, and so will your legacy. Whenever you feel the price you are paying for my upkeep is burdensome, remember that I will do more for you and your family than you can ever do for me. If you do your part, I will do mine. Sincerely, your policy. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a pause there. Then you want to transition into this little script that I wrote here on the right. So let's say hypothetically, I just read this to Jimmy. Jimmy's my client. I'm going to say to Jimmy, the fact of the matter is that there are people that you love and care about that could greatly benefit from a program like this, but I can't help them unless you put me in touch with them. Does that make sense? He's going to say yes. Jimmy, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh,
So
my
this is
brother.
it's you know what I mean? So guys, there's just all little ways and places, like sometimes, agents will say, well, when's a good time to ask for referrals? Man, anytime. We've given you like 5 points so far, and there's more. This is just ways to get referrals while you're in the house. And of course, the beneficiary form, you're going to ask for referrals again. I think I've got two more. Sending out birthday cards and thank you cards. So we talked about this last week. If you missed the call, one thing that you should be doing at night when you come in and you got your policies and you're scrubbing them, you're getting everything submitted, make sure everything's good. Go ahead within 24 hours from the time you made the sale, just put a thank you card out to your client. Put a thank you card out, send it to them. That way, when you're calling them 3 or 4 days later to do the follow-up, that they've already received that card. And chances are they'll say, oh yeah, I got your card, thank you. Or you can ask, oh Jimmy, out of curiosity, I sent out a card. Did you get the thank you card? Yeah, I got the thank you card. Well, and then whether you use the referral fee or not, but one thing that I'd like to add or say, especially if you're just doing a handwritten card, if you're not having them professionally printed, I'll call Jimmy. Jimmy says, yeah, I got your card, thanks. Hey Jimmy, also I just wanted to let you know my company just authorized us to pay up to whatever you want, $25, $50. I would go 50. I'll pay $50 for a sale. Jimmy, my company just authorized me to pay out up to $50 per referral that takes out a policy. Jimmy, I'd like to be able to give you some extra money or pay your referral fee. Out of curiosity, who's the first person that you could think of that you could refer over? So you can ask in other words, if you've forgotten to get referrals, this is another way for you to make that phone call and ask for referrals again. And then lastly is doing annual reviews. So you should be calling your clients and doing reviews. And you may be sitting here and you may be saying, well, Joe, I just got started. I don't have any annual reviews. That's okay. Do a 6-month review. You don't even have to go see them necessarily. You can go back to your policies that you sold 6-8 months ago. Call through those people. Hey, Bob, Mary, it's Joe, your agent. Hey, man, I just wanted to give you a quick touch. I want to make sure that the policy I sold you for $10,000, it's still serving your needs. Wanted to see if you need to make any changes to it. This is who you had listed as your beneficiary. Oh, by the way, is there anybody that you could think of that you could refer over. My company's authorized me to pay out up to $50 per referral. I'd like for you to be able to take advantage of that. So annual reviews is the last little tip as far as getting reviews. But keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a whole year. It could be 3 months down the road. It could be 4 months down the road, whatever. Maybe you've been doing this for 5 years and you've never done an annual review. Man, go back and pull up all your policies from 5 years ago and just, each week just kind of go through and start reaching out and start calling to people, and seeing how, make sure that their policy is still serving them. With that, Jimmy, is there anything, any other tips, techniques, or as far as getting referrals that you could think of? Because next week we're going to be talk about like how to work them. This is more on how to collect them, but anything else you'd like to contribute or add?
No, Joe, as far as anything that you didn't cover, no, but I will say this on the policy reviews. If you're not doing it annually, as Joe said, maybe you have a policy you wrote, less than a year ago. Maybe it's 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever. Just say, hey, I just wanted to review your policy. You don't have to call it an annual review. Same thing goes if it's been more than a year, maybe it's a year and a half out. You can just say, hey, I just hadn't talked to you in a while. I want to review your policy, make sure everything's still in good standing. Maybe you need to change your beneficiary. Maybe you want to change your benefits, increase them. A lot of times they want to increase their benefits. Sometimes they lost their policy. So it's a service thing. But what ends up happening, even if you don't get a sell that day or that particular visit, because you're servicing them and they know that you're still in the business and they know you're legit and that you really have their best interest in mind, they will send you referrals from time to time. I mean, it's just amazing how they just pop up now. I get calls, from different clients because I service them, and then they'll call me and say they need this or that, or they refer me to their family members. I want you to call so-and-so. I told them all about you. I mean, those are the best kind of referrals, are the ones that are unsolicited, right?
Yeah.
So that comes from servicing your client and providing a lot of value.
Yeah, very true, man. At the end of the day, Jimmy, it goes back to being a professional.
Exactly.
Are you in this business just temporarily, or is this your livelihood? And if this is your livelihood, this is how you're going to make your living. Separate yourself from the competition and be a professional and do all the little things. And last thing I'm going to leave with you, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, I'm just going to say, man, be the honey badger. Like this year in your mind, just think to yourself, look at this little guy, like so tough, it's like just a little like dynamite, comes in a small package, but it's explosive. Be the honey badger this year. Think to yourself, I'm going to be fearless. I'm going to be thick-skinned. I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to be unwavering, and I'm going to be ferocious and take care of business. With that, guys, Jimmy, again, thank you so much. Your contributions were amazing to the call. This is going to be recorded. We'll get it out to everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. If you guys need to contact me, call me at that number on the screen there. That's my cell phone number. Be more than happy to assist and help any way I can. All right, Jimmy, have a great weekend, buddy.
Same to you, Joe. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Thank you. All right, Senior Solutions, take care. Have a great weekend. I hope we provided some value.